There we go. There we go. There we go. What's up, everybody? This is Terry Bryant and Coach Bryant. Welcome to Hits and Heels. It's Wednesday night. It is a crazy week. We are coming off of the draft. We are coming off of the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame inaugural for 2025. We're coming off of the women's tackle football. We just started our week. And we got a whole lot of other stuff that we're going to unpack today. But first of all, we are happy to announce that Kentucky had another first round person at 30th. We had Max Hairston, and we have a guest, another one of our nephews. Walker went to fourth round, and we're happy about that.
Very happy about it.
We're happy about that. And we got his dad on. Dion Walker is on, and we getting ready to bring him on right now to the stage. Listen.
Hey, what's up, man?
It looked like you ready to play.
You ready to play?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
You better get you some cold weather gear, though.
Right. I know. Coming from...
Anyway. Well, you're from Detroit. Are you kind of used to the weather up there in Buffalo?
Yeah, I'm used to it. But, Buffalo, they snow hit different.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's a little different.
They had some games where they snowed out, and they had their games in Detroit because they had too much snow. So,
yeah. Well, I just want to say again, like the wife said, thanks for coming on. And we was asking some others, and their schedules didn't work it out. So I'm very blessed, and we're very happy you came on because we are just excited. So how many times that we've been sitting up in the stand at the University of Kentucky and cheering on the babies, and then we had something else to cheer on that wasn't UK. It was Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Right? Yes, the Mafia. So my first question again is, where was y'all at when he got the call?
Well, yeah, we was in Kentucky. We gave like a 3-day draft party at his house because we didn't know when he was going. So we just, it got to be 3 days, not no one specific day. So
that's fantastic. And I guess let's go back and as the wife is looking for something, and
I was sharing.
Oh no,
I just shared this and tagged us on Facebook.
No, we're good, babe. We're good. But let's go down memory lane because we both were in that situation as fathers, making sure the baby do what they're supposed to do. When did you know that your son was listening and hearing what he needed to do from Pee-wee to middle school to high school to college?
Yeah, probably his second year of Little League. So when I say he was about 8 years old, that's when he got the love for it.
Okay. Now, did you coach him then, or did you ever coach him?
No, I never had to because I had my brother and my cousin. That's what they did. They did football. So my brother actually started coaching the team because my son was on it. So
that helps.
Yeah, he coached a few levels above him, but he was able to keep eye on him, give him all the pointers, and make sure he was doing what needed to be done.
Okay. So what was y'all's final decision as far as coming to Kentucky? Because obviously he had lots of offers.
Yeah, very blessed.
Yeah. So when that decision was all his, truthfully, because it boiled down to the last three was Michigan, Georgia, and Kentucky. I wanted him to go to Michigan, of course, because it's home.
Because it's home, absolutely.
My wife wanted him to go to Georgia because it's Georgia.
Right.
So he really split the two because instead of going to, Michigan was out because he said he wanted to play SEC football. He was, pretty much too big for Big Ten football. Thought he was going to dominate there, so he wasn't going to get any better. Georgia was out of it because he said he'd rather play against Georgia rather than play for them.
Like that.
You
I
know what
like
I mean?
that.
Yeah, that way he could go against the best instead of playing with the best.
Playing with the best. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Deion Walker.
No, so people will know.
Oh, I want to make sure that we're talking to. Are you senior or the second?
Oh, senior.
You're a senior. Okay. So
Yeah.
for everybody that's coming on, we are talking with Deion Walker Sr. His son, Deion Walker, played at Kentucky. He played defensive tackle, correct?
Yes.
Okay, defensive
Wore
tackle.
number 0.
And he wore number 0. And so, we sat in the stands together and watched our sons play together and it was a good time these last 2 seasons. And Deion Walker Jr. Is he junior?
Yeah, just
Or the
not
second?
even a junior on it. It's just Deion Walker.
Deion Walker. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So Deion Walker got drafted
Buffalo.
by Buffalo, and we have 4 players from Kentucky at Buffalo.
Yeah.
Because we already had Drew Phillips and Ray, right?
Yep. No, Drew Phillips, he is dang, he's somewhere else. He's in New York, but it's not he's not in Buffalo. Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
Giants. He's with the Giants.
Yeah, he was the
Yeah,
Giants.
my bad. I don't know what. Yeah, he's with the Giants. I
Yeah.
don't know what I thought he was. I knew it was one of the New York schools, but I thought he was Buffalo. I thought we had 4 up there.
We got 3.
Yeah.
So it's 3.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
And then Max Harrison.
Same color. Giants the same color as Buffalo, but yeah.
And then Maxwell Harrison got drafted in the first round, number 30, and he was our first pick out for Kentucky to come off the board.
Yeah.
So, but we're so excited for him. So what was the anxiety like? What was it like getting the call?
It was pretty much. I just couldn't my wife just couldn't wait for him to get a job. It didn't bother me none because before this season, before the injuries, he was a top, probably a top 15 pick. Yeah. And he played last season, which a lot of people didn't know, with a fractured back. A lot of people saw they thinking like, oh, he fell off, and like, no, he didn't forget how to play football in one season.
He just
the whole defensive line was hurt, so he felt he was less hurt. Kind of warrior mentality. Keep going. He didn't want to be selfish and be like, oh, I'm going to sit out because I'm going to the draft. You're like, no, I'm still here for my team.
Yeah. Well, it reminded me of Terry's favorite quarterback that's with the Titans. That was say his name.
Will Levis.
Will Levis.
Same thing. And that's what people don't realize that goes on. You can't do you if you got an injury. If Cheetah gets hurt, he's 4'2". But if he's got an ankle injury, he ain't Cheetah. But everybody thinks he's loafing or he's not doing. So how did you handle that as a dad? Not as a this and that. That's your son. Because I make it crystal clear. I wear my emotions about time on my sleeve. That's my job. So how did you feel when you heard that criticism?
It hurt. And like my wife used to tell me, and everybody used to tell me, stay off the internet. Pretty much, you go on Twitter or anything, you will see something. Then once you read the comments, then your fist ball up. It's like
absolutely.
And then my name on all socials is still the Deion Walker and stuff like that. So I can't even comment. It's just like, man. But I probably wouldn't like to. Hey, the comment I have to make probably wouldn't go over well anyway. So, but yeah,
right. But it is tough because it's sort of like being an official. Most people think they can say anything to you.
Exactly.
And I mean, because we're blessed. We're living it too. We're not living at that level yet. With the
it's on the way.
Yeah, thank you. But that's amazing because there's been many times and people don't know that's your child.
Exactly.
I mean, and
Hmm.
many times I mean, we sat beside each other, on
Hmm.
games, and somebody would say something, and I turn around and look, and you was very even keel. Now you from
Yeah.
Detroit,
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not. Put it like this. Maybe if it wasn't for him, I'm not trying to do anything to mess up his opportunities. Me,
okay,
I don't care about as a parent, but it if anything I do would affect him. So
yeah, yeah, but it's got it.
Mhm.
I know it's hard for me, and
Right,
it's
yeah.
hard for for Terry as well. It's very hard when that. But when y'all got the call, you're sitting in there and you get the call first, and they announce it. Did you feel like, wow, it's surreal, or I'm not putting
Just
words in your mouth. I'm just curious.
no, to tell you the truth, I keep getting asked about that a lot. I don't think it hasn't really hit me yet.
Okay.
Okay.
When he did get the call, because he didn't get the call, we didn't expect the first night. We did expect the second night, and when it went all the way through, he didn't get the call. It was kind of that hurt, but
Mm.
really, I wasn't worried. I'm like, it started at 12 o'clock tomorrow. I told my wife and I told him, I'm like, oh, well, I told everybody because we had a lot of people come up from Detroit. Like I said, we threw a big
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 day event for it. So I'm like, don't worry. We had some people who had to leave. I'm like, you can leave. He'll be off the board before 1 o'clock. I'm like, it
Um,
starts at 12. He'll be gone before 1, and I think he went at 12:30.
yeah. Well, and I guess my next question is, when I saw him at the combine, I mean, he trimmed down so good. Was he trying to be a male model? Because he looked
Man,
good. He looked
hey,
good.
I told him I needed to go work out with him. I got plenty I need to lose. He
Yeah,
lost a
he
lot.
put in some work.
He put in some
Yeah,
work. But,
yeah.
but I
From the
guess it helped too. The back was not. He wasn't injured anymore, so he can actually do him.
Yeah, which he was still injured. So pretty much through the combine process, through the Senior Bowl process, he still had he just had a rough year. So every time he needed to redeem himself, because he had a hamstring, he pulled his hamstring during the Senior Bowl practices.
Okay.
Mm,
So and he didn't get to complete that the way he needed to, which made him not be able to run in the combine, which made him not. And then he re-pulled it again during the pro day,
okay.
Oh wow.
which means so he still ran a 5.2, but that's what he pulled his hamstring again during the run.
I mean, that's battle tested. Amen.
Yeah,
That's battle tested.
yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
it was a lot. It was a lot he went through that a lot of people don't know. But from the last day, from the last game of playing Louisville to now, well, until the combine, I think he lost almost 30 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah, because he
Yeah,
looked.
He
so
looked good.
No, and I
He
mean
looked
that
good.
he looked real good. Look.
yeah,
Uh,
Even watching him on the combine, he looked good.
very agile,
yeah,
very moving his feet. I
yeah,
mean, he was being him.
Yes.
He was being
yeah.
him. It's not
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh. No, it wasn't. It was
Yeah, he
like
looked good.
he was doing him. He was doing him.
Yep,
So
exactly.
Okay. So what would be, is there something that you wish you had done differently at an earlier age to prepare him for this? Or was the journey just exactly what it needed to be?
I believe it was just what I don't think it was nothing else I could have done. To me, how I always put it, I tell my wife and anybody who's worried, I'm like, it's no stopping this. This is how it was written to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
amen.
it even came from him going to the high school when he was born. One of the best football high schools in Detroit is Cass Tech. My him going through everything once it was time for high school. Cass Tech, you got to kind of fill out the application, get the approval process. My wife was on me about it. I missed the application time. It was all my fault. I totally missed it.
Mm,
It's like, man, he's not going to be able to go to cash. He's not going to be able to take the test, this and that. We went to a football camp. He's doing this thing in a camp. The coach walked up to me. He said, "Hey, what high school are you going to?" I'm like, I wanted him to go to Cass, but I missed the application process. It was Coach Wilcher, um, the football coach from Cass Tech. He's like, "Don't talk to nobody else. I'll call you. I'll call you Monday. He's coming to Cass."
Here's the thing about that, and the coach did the right thing to me, my opinion. But
Mm,
that's life. That's the way it's
Yes.
supposed to be.
yeah,
Whatever that blessing is, you take advantage of it. Like I said all
yeah,
the time, my wife got rhythm. She can
mhm,
pop, and lock. I gotta go 1, 2, 1, 2. And so whatever that blessing is you're blessed. God blesses us to do
oh yeah,
things in ways, and sometimes the pattern is not 1, 2, 3. You might
exactly.
skip one, but eventually you get to it, and that's a blessing of God. So that the coach was smart. He was
Yeah,
like, you got Walker. Your baby can read and write. He's educated. He's
yeah,
and dad messed up. I love how you said I take full responsibility,
yeah,
and he didn't hold it against your baby. I love
no,
that.
I love it.
yeah.
I love it. I'm good. I'm just so excited for his journey. He'll always be nephew. Every time I see, he lets me get a selfie and gives me a hug, and I appreciate it. And we gonna miss y'all in the stands.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think about that. I'm gonna miss it. Heck, I miss Little League, so I'm really finna miss. I'm really finna miss the college experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it becomes There's been a lot of friends of mine, and I was fortunate to know a little bit about the NFL, and it's different. I mean, just like high
Oh yeah.
school to college is different,
Yeah, it's
and
very different.
these are grown men with kids and family.
Hmm.
What I'm saying. So I forget. How did he choose? Why did he choose UK again? Can you run it by me again?
So he chose it. It was mainly where he was needed instead of just wanted. He wanted to play against the best, and it was. I remember we had to come. Actually, we had to come out here to Frisco to the Star to the Cowboys because he's got on Cowboys hat. We had to come to the Cowboys training facility for him
You
to
know that's
sign
our only
from the
fault,
bigger
right?
school. Huh? Oh
That's our
man,
only
see.
fault. She's a Cowboys fan, man. That's our only fault. She's beautiful,
Yeah,
educated, godly,
yeah.
but that Cowboy thing, woo,
Cowboys fan, yeah, and that's where I'm at right now, and I'm a Lions fan, so I'm out here. It doesn't make any sense,
doesn't make any sense. So,
but yeah,
so, so
we was out here.
when he said it, I was fortunate to be in a room with
Okay.
Damani Dawson, who is a Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Famer, played here in Lexington, played with me at UK when I played, and uh,
Mm.
and I never forget when we were all together when he got his phone call and it was about I can buy a fishing rod. That's the
Mm.
first thing that came out of his mouth. Did your son say I can buy mom and dad this now, or I can get this, or he didn't say that?
No, he didn't say that. He really didn't care. Because I mean, that's his main goal. That's always been his thing. I don't know if you like on my Facebook, I put up a thing from when he was in Little League. I think he was maybe 9 years old. Talk about that's all he want to do is feed his family.
I love
yeah,
it.
I
That's
I
love
love
it.
it. I
I
that's
love
love
all
it.
he want to do.
You don't understand how happy. We was cheerleaders. We
Yeah,
were sitting in
we
the house
Oh,
with
we're
the cheerleaders,
fans.
and we was.
We
I
will
mean,
always be
I'm a very
fans.
masculine man, but I had a pom pom. I ain't gonna lie.
yeah.
Yeah, we're fans. Please know that we're always be fans. Of course, we're always going to be connected because we were sitting in the stands together, going through this grind with our
Oh
kids
yeah.
together, and so we will always be cheering and looking for them on the field, and make sure we stay in touch.
But the
Oh
one
yeah.
thing is, you'll love Buffalo. It's sort of like Lexington.
No, it
Uh,
ain't. It's
Okay.
cold. Y'all be
no,
having
no, I'm
50,
not
11
talking
inches of
weather. I'm
snow.
talking weather. I'm talking about the environment because, again, I was very fortunate. Caldwell Gardner, number 35, played for the
Okay.
Buffalo Bills way back in the day. Okay,
Okay.
and he played when they went to the 4 Super Bowls and didn't win. He was a starting fullback. And
Okay.
Caldwell from Louisville played at Kentucky and then ended up transferring to Louisville. But it's a beautiful place. And the Mafia, you're gonna love the fans. You're gonna love the free stuff you're gonna get when you go to restaurants when they find out that your son is playing. No, I mean,
That's the last thing I need.
I'm telling you, get ready for the. And I'm a 49er fan, and our fans, and
Okay.
we are fanatics. But the blessing thing about that is they remind me so much of the Green Bay Packers fans and
Okay.
less the Mafia fans. They are very passionate. I before the wife steps in, I want to tell you that I have a teacher, Sanchez, is a Buffalo Bill crazy Mafia. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. This man every year Super Bowl, and now he said we got the Kentucky connection. We're going to the
Oh
Super
yeah.
Bowl now. so,
Hey,
so
that might be all they was missing.
yeah, yes, and so, but Mr. Sanchez is a major Buffalo fan, so don't be surprised if I call you up and say, "Can you get an autograph picture for him?" Because he
Not
is
a
a
problem.
Buffalo fan through and through.
That's
Not
good
a
stuff.
problem.
That's good stuff. I want to acknowledge that we have our niece, Goldie Bryant, on. She said, "Love you so much." My family, my cousin Sam Watson says hello. My girl Stacy Ferguson, who's a Cleveland Browns fan. Hello, Stace. Happy Wednesday. And Mr. Brown says, "You three are parents of elite athletes, and your thoughts on the Sanders family and the question of arrogance and confidence, and this confronted Black men's stance on our proudness, similar to Muhammad Ali and others." I'm not sure.
Do you understand the question?
You understand the question?
Kinda.
Okay. So basically, I guess, what are your thoughts, I guess, on how the Sanders family, I guess,
Yeah.
were, I guess, treated because of their confidence, and
Yeah.
they were told
I
about their
didn't.
arrogance. What do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
I didn't agree with that at all. That was um. I don't know how to. I don't know how to put that in words to be politically correct, but that sounds like them trying to let them know who's boss, pretty much.
Right.
It
Mhm.
is no way it should have went. It's no way it should have went that way.
Right.
There's no
And
way.
that goes
Not.
back. Oh, go. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
Oh no, I
Please.
was going to say, yeah. No, I know they are a little too arrogant. They are, but it's it still was no reason for that. It was none whatsoever. But
Okay, gotcha.
And I guess I will chime in on that a little bit because we're going to talk about that later. But in my mind, I think you said it best. You did when you said to let them know who's in charge.
exactly.
I mean, that's how I feel too. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not saying because we don't know, but that's how they made me feel. You
Yeah.
know, and I had a conversation with a young a parent today, and I said, the way you are coming at me makes me think this way. Now, you might not be doing that, but that's how I'm receiving it. So with
Yeah.
the NFL, that's how I received it.
Yeah. That's exactly it. I mean, you know how the NFL already has a reputation. It's already how they consider it. Whatever you want to call it, the plantation or whatever you want to call it. But that kind of stuff and that kind of control, that I think that was just a little too
Kind of
much.
almost validates the
Exactly. Everything that you think about,
the
everything that
negative
people thinks
about
about them.
the negative that says,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
like
Yeah,
you're saying, that we don't know if that's what they were thinking, but that's what
What it
it
came
came to
across.
us,
that's
and
what.
it's
Yeah,
The
yeah,
perception.
that was a perception. Thank you. That was a
yeah,
perception they gave us. So,
yeah.
but on a brighter note, on that situation, when does he report to camp?
I think camp starts on the 9th. So I think he goes. I don't know. Actually, I was just talking to him. Yeah, I know he got to be there by the 9th. So sometime next week.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Okay.
quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I like it. I like it.
That's a quick
Yeah.
turnaround. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Have you already bought? I'm sorry, baby. Have you already bought your first Buffalo shirt?
Actually, he told me what his number's going to be already. So,
Okay.
of course, it's not for sale yet. So I had to go on Fanatics and put his name and number on it. But I just got it. But I didn't order it yet. I just got it sitting in the cart because,
okay.
like, when he came to Kentucky, his high school number was 51. When he came to Kentucky, he had 51. But by the time he got to play in his first game, he was number 0.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So you have
so
a window, son.
Yeah,
You wait
so
till
I
the
said I was going to
official roster
wait
come
to
out.
see, yeah, till because he may have to fight for the number he wants. That's just the number they
Right.
gave him. So, and I
Okay.
know he's going to win whatever fight they give him. So, uh, I'm just going to wait.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you again for coming on. We love y'all. Make sure you hug your wife. Give him a big hug for me, and just tell him from Terry Bryant, Miss Coach Bryant, that I appreciate the hugs, and he's always just so polite and don't mind taking selfies with me and giving me some love and just acknowledging us. We can't wait to continue to celebrate him, and we're always going to be fans.
Oh
Always.
yeah, thank you. Oh, thank
And
you. I miss y'all as well.
and love and so are you going to be in Texas when that heat comes in August?
Man, yes. But and only reason we came down here because he had always said no matter who picks him, he actually wanted home to be Texas.
Okay.
Um, so me and my wife came down here in January to see how we like it. So
Mhm.
far, I mean, I like this weather. I don't know about the summertime weather. It's
Oh,
Yeah.
like I kind
it's
of want to go back to Detroit for the summer.
I'm gonna say you might want to get you a summer home in Detroit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
all I know is when we went down, of course, when Kentucky played Texas, it's beautiful.
hmm
I thought
Oh yeah,
It was beautiful that day.
I thought
that was a
the
that was a
people were
nice
nice.
November, wasn't
Yes.
it?
It was very nice. It's very pleasant
Yeah,
and
well, most people was like nice except that one lady who was sitting at the corner of the end of our
yes,
row.
yes, yes. The one had the attitude for no reason.
Yeah, her.
Hey, I almost pushed her down the steps. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
even gonna
know.
lie.
That's
I said I
right.
went to go take a picture with someone, and I was like, I said I'll just be here with a second, and she said something, and I just stared her down.
Yeah.
I said, "Who are you
So
talking to?"
But that's one person.
But that's
yeah,
it. One
everybody else
person.
was nice.
Everybody else was very nice.
Yeah,
Everybody else
that
just
yeah,
that's
that
because
was
they
my
don't want
first
these
time in
problems.
Austin. Yeah,
They don't
that was
want
my
these
first
problems.
time in Austin. Yeah.
Before we let you go, did you experience the same thing? I thought when we went to Ole Miss was the nicest fans that I've ever
Yep.
encountered. I mean, did you
Yep.
get that
So
impression too?
yeah, so both times we went to Ole Miss. Of course, I'm from Detroit, so coming going anywhere in the South is kind of a question mark for me,
Right.
But and really going to Ole Miss, it was a real big question mark. But both times I went was very good times.
Yes. I mean,
Very good times.
We had a good, and we walked straight through the grove.
and they was
Yeah,
like,
that's what.
want some to eat? Want something to
Yeah.
drink?
Yep. Yeah, everything. It was never no problem, no snobby attitude, no nothing that I expected.
Even
None
after
of
we
the
won.
Even after we
yeah,
won.
yeah, even after we won. That's what I said. I'm like, oh, we're gonna have trouble getting back to
I
the
said,
car.
that's what I said. I said, "Ooh, we getting ready to have some problems coming up. Getting ready to walk back through
Yeah.
this
Nope.
grove, but it
Wasn't
wasn't
no
no problem. They were still
yep, it
just
was
as pleasant."
yep. Party going in, party coming out. It was nice.
Love
Mhm.
it.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being on,
Yes. And your family.
Oh yeah.
and we'll bring you back again in the future after he makes the Pro Bowl or something.
Oh yeah. No, I need to come back soon as he make his first 3 sacks.
Okay, we'll do that. Once he make it, just
Okay.
call us and be like, "All right, time for me to come back on. We got
Right.
you."
I got something to talk about. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
again,
Thank you.
thank you for coming on. Thank you for, just a little insight on what y'all went through and how you was feeling, you and your wife and the whole family. I mean,
Oh
Grandpa,
yeah.
because I met them all. They're beautiful
Oh
people,
yeah.
and
Of course. Yes.
please, please tell them, we said love and blessings.
Oh yeah, no problem.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Yeah, you as well.
All right. Go Buffalo.
Go Buffalo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be fun to watch them, especially with all three of them on the field.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of exciting because when you know that young person and now
Personally,
they're in
yeah.
the ultimate NFL, it's actually quite exciting for that to appear. Well, I guess just conversation piece right now, right?
I don't even know where to start, Coach
Well,
Brian.
I'm gonna start. Can I start?
Yes, you can start.
We're gonna stay in
because it's a lot
Well, no, we're gonna
to unpack tonight.
This is one of the things is the draft was going on. We have players is going off. The Childress, he's went off with alignment.
That's why I wore my Cowboys.
We have a whole lot of guys being blessed to go up to the NFL. But the funniest thing is Ohio State led with the most players go off in the NFL. They had 14. And one of my best friends, Eric Hagan, who's a Buckeye fan, and Hagan asked the players, and I coach at Bryan Station High School baseball, and he said he wanted everybody to know they had 14 Ohio State young men get drafted. And then one of our young men said, but the SEC has 79. 79 players picked in the draft.
Well, I know that for the last 10 years, the SEC has dominated the draft, and it hasn't been close. Yes. Like they've had almost twice as many than any other way. But I know Stacy loves her some Ohio because she's from Cleveland. So we gonna shout you out, Stacy. We not even gonna lie. We gonna get to your nephew here in a minute. So yeah,
I think it's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty cool. Who was Mr. Irrelevant?
Kobe Minor.
Kobe Minor from where?
From Memphis, cornerback.
Cornerback from Memphis was
Mr. I was trying to get in touch with Marty Moore.
Oh yeah,
and Marty Moore. Well, I sent him a text, but the problem is I was in the school building and it didn't go through. You know how it does in the school building sometimes. It doesn't go through.
Oh, Stacey, I didn't know you graduated from Ohio State.
We don't care. It's the Big Ten. We don't care about Ohio. We don't care about. No, I'm kidding, Stacey. You know I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Congratulations,
Go Bucks.
Stacey.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. So I was trying to get Marty to come on to talk about the concept. I'm still gonna try to call him if that's okay. And he was with the New England Patriots, and then of course, right now the biggest one is the 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. When he came out, he was Mr. Irrelevant for the Niners. So, that seems to be a big thing, Mr.
Irrelevant.
And the last.
You know what? I'm not. I don't want to. We're gonna bring him up. But I just knew they was gonna make Shedeur Mr. Irrelevant this year.
Wow, that'd have been interesting. But I've got to say, and Gordon Christian, he's a tight end that went to Arizona from the University of Louisville. In 2015, he was Mr. Irrelevant.
Oh, out of Louisville?
Yeah, out of Louisville, the tight end. I remember him, but I didn't know he was that until I looked that up. So
okay, gotcha.
I just want to give a shout out to that.
Okay, Stacy, social work major. Claude Scott Jr. said that station baseball gear looks good on you, coach. Don't tell him that. But he already knows. Yeah. He already knows.
Go Defenders. Baseball.
So Stacy is a social work major from Ohio State University.
Go Bucks.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, Stacy. I was a Ohio State University fan I can't say a fan. When Justin Fields was y'all's quarterback, I was definitely rooting for Ohio State. So I was there for a minute.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean,
because that's our nephew.
Well, but Ohio State, they do what they do. They won a national title this past.
They won a national. So with them winning the national title, I can see them having 14 players to go to the draft because they were good.
They were very talented.
They were talented all across the board.
Yeah, the receivers.
Yes, everything across the board. They were very, very talented. They were very, very fun to watch. So, okay, so what's next, Coach Bryant? Because we got a lot.
Go ahead. You start that the next subject.
We got a lot. So do we want to go back to the Shedeur
Yes.
conversation?
Easy subject to talk about. Go ahead. What is your opinion?
My opinion.
Your opinion.
My opinion is we live in a nation where we, and I'm saying we as a race, have been indoctrinated to stay in our place. And there have been laws from the beginning set up to oppress us. And none of us are empowered. And so then when we get besides ourselves, we will get reminded to stay in our place. And I'm trying to say this as respectfully and as politically correct as I can. At the same time, one of those things that we have been attacked is the Black family. And if our education system had history correct, people would know that this nation intentionally tried to break up Black families, and there was an attack on Black men. That's the reason why the majority of men that are incarcerated is probably about 70-80% Black males. And when they created welfare, they were able to give women money, but the man could not be in the house. Now, that doesn't mean that other races didn't benefit from that or didn't have to go through that. But Black people, I think we only are 14%, 30%, 20%. Like when you look at the percentage of Black people compared to other races, then the number, it looks like there's a greater percentage of us that are affected as opposed to another race, even though they may dominate and the numbers for them is more, right? So it's kind of like men and women. There's way more women than there are men. So now when our Black men are getting incarcerated because they're targeted, because they're being oppressed, they can't, the justice system definitely treats them way differently than others. And so I think the arrogance and the audacity of Dion, I do feel like played a part in that, because he was dictating where my son can go and where not. But you're not Manning. You're not Archie Manning. You can't, there's no way you can dictate that. Like he's been in the system since 1988. And they're like, okay, we've been dealing with him for almost 40 years that Dion has been in the NFL spotlight. I don't think it was arrogance. I just think that Dion felt like and I'm sorry for calling him Dion. I don't want to disrespect that man. Coach Prime, or Coach Sanders, I feel like I'm not saying he needed to be humbled. I don't know the word it is, but I think that regardless of how much money we have in our community or who we are, we still have to know the rules. Like there are unwritten rules that we can do and not do, and can say and not say. Otherwise, we are going to be reminded who we are. And I'm trying to say this as politically correct as possible without really saying it. Am I making sense? Stacey, am I making sense?
Okay, I agree with 95%. I don't agree with the Manning and Deion and Sanders comparison.
There's no comparison.
Okay, let me finish.
Okay.
Okay, I don't agree with that because when Eli Manning was coming out and when Peyton Manning was coming out, they were two of the top quarterbacks coming into the NFL. And it's sort of like John Elway. If you are ranked up there, you will have a different say of what you want to do because he wasn't the first to do it. I think to me, what turned a lot of the owners off, and you hit it right on the correctness, is his swagger. Okay, I'm not using the word arrogance. People think arrogance is a bad thing.
Yeah,
Arrogance is not the bad thing.
Yeah.
Arrogance is not the bad thing. Pride is a bad thing. People got to understand that. Read your Bible. Pride is a bad thing. The objective is when someone asks you a question and you give a certain answer and you are who he is, they take that answer personal. Instead of realize they answered your question, they just didn't answer the way you wanted to answer it. So with that said is, I think that his situation was 100% obvious. And it was to make a point.
To make a point.
Okay. But again, it's not a point of, in my opinion, it's not a point of the Mannings. Because when the Mannings was coming out, he was second in the Heisman, and that is Peyton. Behind Woodson, he won second in the Heisman. And then when Eli came out of Ole Miss, he set a lot of records. He took them to a major bowl. They won. And he was in that position to be the number 1 or 2 quarterback taken. Basically, he was in that position.
Okay. But so was Shedeur. Shedeur got named the Johnny Unitas, which is the best quarterback in the nation. And then most of the listings, ESPN, all of them had him either number 1 or they had him number 2.
Okay. The ones I listen to on the 1300 ESPN radio every day.
So I guess they're
right. What I'm getting at is the most I heard that there were certain ones, yes, had him 1. Most of them had him the 3rd quarterback taken or the 4th quarterback taken, but definitely taken in the 1st round and the 2nd round. Everybody had him in the 1st round. Cleveland took him, and Cleveland had a chance to take him early, way early, and chose not to. And we don't know why. Cleveland took him, but Cleveland took a quarterback before him. That he will be competing for a job. And I never understood that. I mean, the team that passed you up 3 times took you. That I don't understand. That's what I mean. That made no sense.
But it did come out, and you don't know what to believe as far as any of the things that it said that there was something that went out where all the managers came together or all the owners came together to blackball him. And then the other thing is Deion was acting as their agent. Coach Sanders was acting as their agent. And then they didn't get a call. And even Shiloh, I think, even said this. He was like, we was depending on Dad, but then we went to go get an agent. And then once they got hired an agent, then they came off the board.
I didn't know that.
So that was another thing, was the fact that he was acting as their agent. And of course, as an agent, you just have privy to different information and other stuff, and you're able to negotiate things a little bit differently than just a parent that has your feelings in. Now, are there parents that have acted on behalf of their kids? Yes. But I think that they also did the necessary paperwork and everything to become to become agents, actual agents to act on behalf of their kids. So yeah. So Mr. Brown says, "Oh, Stacy, you're right. It's not an even playing field for us, and it never has been. And sometimes we forget that, and we think that because." And I think that with Dion, I think he felt like, well, I'm a Hall of Famer, and I'm this, and I'm that, and and I know the ins and outs of everybody, and then I know who to go to, who not to go to, and I think that kind of got above him, kind of like Shannon Sharpe and all the rest of them that do kind of stuff that they don't need to do, and then they get brought back to reality. What do you say, Mr. Brown? You said, I believe the broader thought is that it seems there was secret emails and memos sent to owners, executive. I totally agree. And I think someone said that a host on national sports show was besides themselves regarding this stuff. And there were all types of commentators and stuff that were not in agreement with it. And everybody was flabbergasted and surprised at the way it went down because it did not make sense. And I think that a lot of people really didn't, we live it every day. We've been living that type of life our whole life in corporate America, at schools. We've always been treated unfairly, and we've always been, when we get to a point, we always have to, the word is not humble. We always have to remember who we are and not overstep certain boundaries, because they will remind us who we are.
Well, I want to say this real quick. That Marty Moore did call back, Mr. Relevant with the Patriots, and he actually just took some pain medicine because he had a hip replacement. So, and I can appreciate that, have a knee replacement, but he did call back and he would love to, but he's about to fall asleep. So with that said and again, it comes down to, in my opinion, this is what happens. I always say the NFL draft is this, and Mr. Brown, you can tell me and you tell me if I'm close to it, Ben. A number one pick, a number two pick, a number three pick is totally different than Major League Baseball and the NBA. This is why. If the 49ers had the number one pick, they would not took Shedeur. Even if he was the man, they don't need a quarterback. That's the NFL. It's the number one pick in certain picks is a need. It's a need, and that's a fact. But when you take a quarterback and you don't take Sanders, that's where it becomes wow.
When you need a quarterback and you don't take Sanders, yes.
And the thing that I loved about Sanders for me, and not being is if you watch the film, Mel Kiper had him number one through and through, because he got sacked a lot. He stayed in the pocket and he threw the ball. And and that made a big difference. And you hear me say it all the time. I don't give any NFL quarterbacks a lot of props because they don't get hit. There's a big difference you getting hit and getting up and doing it again and again and again. Receivers don't get touched. Officials, if you breathe on them, will throw a flag because I don't know why. They just do. You throw a ball short and a receiver stops and comes back to the ball, and it's a flag on the defense. And again, another story I don't get. But with that said I think based on Watson will take his money and he's gone because he won't play this year because I think he got a Helix or something. He's still hurt. You got the other quarterback that was with the Ravens,
Joe Flacco.
Flacco, who's older, and it's only another quarterback he's got to beat out. So when this is all said and done, he will shine. To me, Very now. Okay, my bad. I'm taking these out of the picture. All right. But what I'm getting at is sometimes the blessings that's not right in front of you, they come. And there's no question this young man will be blessed because he is talented. He is 100% talented. He could do a lot. And it will, the cream will rise. There's no question in my mind that this young man will be the starting quarterback. Because again, he'll sign his contract. He'll sign his contract and a rookie contract, and then after 3 years, he'll get a chance. I hope they give him a real chance. That's what I'm getting at, if that makes sense.
Okay. I think the biggest controversy that I saw online was that people did not think that this was a racial situation, but people don't understand. I get that. I know you're trying to get off the subject, but I just think that people just need to, I don't know. It's just, okay, we'll stop the subject. Okay. So Flacco will start and Shedeur will probably be his backup. And then if Flacco gets injured, he'll become the starter. And if y'all don't get that offensive line, there's a chance he could get injured. So I don't know. I hope the whole offensive line is healed for both of them. But this is the most controversial draft in history, and to add insult to injury, the most controversial. He was pranked by the Atlanta coach's son, and I think the prank by the Atlanta coach's son, and yes, his dad got $100,000 fine, and Atlanta got a $250,000 fine, but that's not enough. That money should have went to they should have gave that money straight to Shedeur for pain and suffering, because that was cruel.
That was brutal.
It was absolutely cruel. And it wasn't an accident. It was totally intentional. He intentionally recorded it. And then you had the nerve to leak it out or to let it get out is crazy to me. So it was totally intentional. And you did it to get, I don't know, maybe so that you could get the spotlight on you, because you're not the type of person to have the type of spotlight that Shedeur has. I think a lot of that, it was solely me, Stacey. Yes. And then it was more than Shedeur. There was somebody else that got pranked as well. And I think that was just totally me. And I'm going to tell you right now, if that was to happen to my son, I'm hunting him down. And I will go to jail. Period. For doing my son like that.
I'm not laughing. Hey, babe.
Ask me if I'm playing.
All right.
Ask me if I'm playing.
All righty.
Play with me if you want to.
Because
I'm taking one for the team.
That is true.
What was Abdul Carter? Is that who the other one was?
Yeah.
It was Abdul Carter. Yeah. Just totally, that is absolutely mean-spirited.
Here's a problem. Here's a problem that
I feel like the dad should lose his job too.
Well, based on the dad losing his job, yes. But here's my problem with that. Yes.
Z, you know that Z.
Yeah, I know Z. Here's my problem about that. When people talk about money and they're talking about paying, and what you say, $100,000, $100,000
to the dad, yeah.
Okay, the dad. If you take $100,000, that might be $10 to us. That doesn't affect us. It's $100,000. Nobody wants to give up $100,000, but it's $100,000. That's okay. He makes millions. He's in the league. He's an NFL coach, so he's making more than $100,000. So it really does not affect you. What you do is, like you said, maybe not fired. He is
suspended.
He's suspended for a year
without pay.
And so what happens is,
and you can't even be in the league.
Okay, when you suspend them without pay in the NFL, like any other coach, they have to get a coach to replace him. And once they get that coach to replace him, that coach does well, he may not come back because he's been replaced. I think that would have been more. And then the young man who did it is banned for the year. If you can run on a field, if you can run on a football field, baseball field, basketball court,
you're banned.
And you're banned for a year. They need to ban that
kid,
young man.
He should lose a year of eligibility.
That he can't come to any NFL game for 1 year.
You say he should have had more consequences because he was 21. I'm just saying, because he was in college. To me, he should lose a year of eligibility. He should, he should not be able to get any NIL money. He should be.
Well, one has nothing to do with the other.
I'm just saying, he's not a child.
No, what I'm getting at is he can't come to the NFL games.
Oh, and he can't come to NFL games. Oh, yeah. You ban him from the end of it. Yeah, he
that
can't
is
come
the
to
biggest. Yeah. That's the biggest perk
of being a coach's child. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
You get perks.
But he's in college and he played football at a school.
But that's choosing subject, right?
I don't care. I'm killing him all across the board. From his school, he's getting suspended, and he's losing a year of eligibility, and he's using his NIL money.
Okay.
Because
he didn't have to
because you lucky. I'm putting y'all on notice. Make sure if this won't go viral and enough people won't see it, play with my son if you want to.
Baby, you just told him to play with our son.
Play with him if you want to. Because you don't want these problems.
Right.
I promise you don't want these problems when it comes to mine.
All righty. Where we at now? Let's sorry. Babe, it's okay.
Play with mine if you want to.
All right.
I'm just saying, okay, we're gonna change this subject because
that's my girl.
Yeah. So okay, let's go to another subject. Okay, so what about what about Halburn's father confronting the freak? What is hell wrong with what was that about? I mean, so this was a basketball game. The Greek freak, who that is, right? Halliburton's father came and got into his face about something. And I'm like, it's the audacity for me. So the Greek must have made his son look bad or something like that, and just must have just really took it to him. Yeah, but again, some people drink the cool. Some people.
Well, it's easy to come into my man's face when you got all these people to break it up.
Yes,
I mean it's so
because it's full of security.
Right, it's so like in any school system in the nation. Everybody's tough because they know somebody's gonna break it up. So that was amazing, and I know what you're talking about. That was funny.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Well, let's put a smile on your face, a little better smile on your face, and let's talk about the Derby City Dynamites.
Yeah, that's gonna put a smile on my face. We lost.
Yeah, but you love talking about your girl.
Okay. So this past weekend, my girls, the Derby City Dynamite, we started our season. We took an L the first game. We probably shouldn't have, but they're fun to watch. If you go to WFAfootball.com, find a female league team near you. There's actually teams all over the place. I think we have like 53 teams across the nation. And and there are women tackle football, and they play in full pads, and it's definitely fun to watch. It's definitely fun to watch.
Well, I enjoyed it. I didn't think you knew I was coming.
I did not know you were coming. Thank you for coming and supporting. I was in the booth. That was the first time I was in the booth,
and she was loud. She was in the booth. Telling what needs to be done, and being in the booth is tough because a lot of times you say stuff and can help the team, and the coach really doesn't hear you.
Yeah.
They're focusing on what they're doing. They're not ignoring you.
Yeah,
because I've done both. I've been in the booth and I've been, on the sideline with the headphones on. But you did a very good job. And
because I was like, do y'all understand the words coming out of my mouth? And y'all. I'm hitting my headphones like, are y'all hearing me? because we kept going the same play over and over again, beat on the same play. And, and today we had film right before here, we were going over the film, which was very important. I think we had it was a great film session so that the women can learn. And I think the biggest problem that we have is just the lack of IQ. And we're just not studying the game enough to be able to make adjustments. And, we got a couple players that really kind of don't go full speed because they're unsure of what they're supposed to do. And because they lack and because they lack that confidence of knowing what they're really supposed to do, they're unsure. So there's a hesitancy, and you can see it on the film.
Well, and the thing is, when I hear players, and I've coached a long time, and I listen when I'm there, and players say, "Well, the coach didn't do this or didn't do that." I just want to say to players, and I've been a player, sometimes you got to improvise and adapt, because coaches cannot put you in every position that may occur. That does not happen. And every play that you see in football, basketball, baseball, gymnastics, whatever, that athlete improvised.
Yes.
Because it dictated
you can't be a robot.
Okay, and the thing is, I never forget, even here at Bryan Station High School, it was a play that happened a few weeks back, and I moved a player. And basically what happened is the ball got hit opposite where I wanted it to get hit. And the player like, "Coach, you put me here." But the thing is, it didn't happen the way I thought it was. But now you have to be an athlete. That's the difference. You have to understand situations and the difference of lining up in trips. If they're close together, you do this. If they're separate, you do this. If the front man's up. And that
was what we were lacking.
Yes.
It's just the IQ and the common sense portion of it.
Yeah,
but
some of it just comes, so you learn that with reps and practice.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. It's because you start seeing it, and as the ladies go, some of them they might be seeing the field like this,
right?
But when the more you play, you start seeing the field.
Yeah,
and it widens out, and everybody that can hear my voice knows that's sports,
right? And Stacy said, "I can imagine you on the field. I'm cool and calm and collected on the field, ain't I?"
I mean, somewhat. You are. I mean, no, you are. I mean, you're not.
I'm not overbearing. And
the thing is, I can say this about my wife: is her biggest thing is a lot of times players don't listen, and then when you give them the information, they question the information. And as a coach, I've got that in my life. And I said this, and I'm going back to Bryan Station. We had a game, got caught up in rain. Scott County was trailing 2-0 in the bottom of the fourth. And so we'll pick it up tomorrow. But I said this to my outfielders: "Thank you for being coachable." I said that to them because I told them something, and they all three did it.
Yeah.
They didn't go, they didn't question me, they did it. And that's the biggest thing about players to coach. You got to be coachable. And if the coach is wrong, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Because if I'm correct, it's only Jesus who walked on water. So they're not perfect, but their job is to put you in a position for you to be successful. And that's what coaching is to put you in a position to be successful. And they're not trying to put you in the wrong position, but sometimes it don't work out because that other coach is doing the same thing. And that's just sports.
Gotcha.
Coach RP.
Yeah, Ron Prince. He said Jamel said it wasn't racial. I felt like it was racial from the position of from the perspective of
we're talking about.
Where we went back.
Okay.
So Coach Prince he said it's a job interview for a life-changing opportunity, not a God-given or a civil right. And he's saying Shedeur failed that. because even the most adamant race observer, Jamil said it wasn't racial. And I get that you say that. To me, it was racial from the point of
Can he come on?
when I'm gonna send you the link, Coach.
Now, Ron Prince is a coach that's Kansas. Excuse me. Sorry about that, Ron. Sorry, Coach. And he's done it for a long time in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts and also with Detroit Lions, and he's coached college, and his input on how he views it is very, respectful. And I really want to hear it. Hope he calls it.
Coach, that's the link. If you're available, just click that link. Nobody else click the link, but because it's live. But because if you come on, I don't have to put you on. But Coach, if you're available, come in and so that you can give your input on that on that issue. I felt like it was raised from the position of, I'm going to remind you that y'all don't run nothing here.
I'm not saying
that's why I felt that's the racial part of it. But I still also believe that you were being interviewed. You have to remember that you still don't run nothing. And then the racial part was, y'all black folks is not getting ready to come up in here and tell us what we getting ready to do and how we're getting ready to do it. And so that's
a lot of it had to do with his individual meeting as well. That was not on tape. Because that's what led to, but I'm just saying that's what I was hearing. A lot of it had to do with, but it's the same thing.
But it's still
they all get together and they make a decision.
They felt like he was arrogant, and they don't like confidence in us.
Well, everybody got confidence,
right? So that's what to play that. But when you play at that level, you got to have that confidence. Anyway, so back to that. If Coach, come on if you're available. But going back, IQ, sports IQ was the thing with our women's.
Well, I think the pace of the game when you've been practicing as long as they've been practicing and doing their thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then to learn from what you've done, like when that back comes into flat, now you got to do this because that's what I teach our kids. I'd be like, whoa. We can't, like you just say, you can't be a robot.
You can't be a robot.
You can't say, I'm supposed to stand here.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't cover ground.
Yeah.
Cover a person. You slide left or right.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say all the time, and I'm gonna call my man and ask him a question. I don't understand why you look in the backfield on the snap of the ball and you're in secondary. I mean, a lot of them do it. The NFL guys do it.
They do it at Kentucky.
People do it. How can I tell what route you're in if you're looking in the backfield on the snap of the ball? Because you're 12 yards deep.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking in the backfield, now that receiver eats my cushion out right now, but he floated out. And how many times we've seen a receiver standing right beside the line,
and then next thing I know, they're wide open.
And he never reacts to it because he never knew he was beside him.
Yeah.
And everybody's throwing for 400, 500 yards.
Right.
But they didn't throw for 400, 500 yards back in the day.
Right.
But they throw the ball more. But the interceptions hasn't increased.
Right.
I mean,
I don't know.
It's staying the same.
Asked him that before. Yeah.
You ain't getting, I mean, teams are throwing the ball 50 times. And if you get 4 interceptions in a year, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting 4 when they barely threw the ball.
Right.
And I don't understand that one either.
Coach, I see you, but I don't see your video. He said, I believe these franchises did not want the influence of prime rappers and influential blacks in the locker rooms or in the sidelines. Similarly, in Colorado, I agree with that.
Well, Colorado.
He said Lamar Jackson didn't have an agent until after the draft. After he was drafted, then his mom took over. I thought his mom was his agent.
His mother was his agent from day one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when he won the Heisman, she made that crystal clear sitting on the couch.
Yeah. She made it crystal clear.
Yeah. She was his agent.
As a Cleveland fan that attended games and live in the city, I don't. Okay. Yeah. But so yeah, let me see if I can get him. Coach, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Why can't we see that?
Why can't we see
that
you?
smoothness?
Because I'm driving down the interstate.
Oh,
Hey, keep your eye on the road.
keep your eye on the road. Keep your eye on the road. Keep your eye on the
always
road. Keep your eye on the road.
listening to my favorite coaches.
Well, let's do this and please be safe. Okay, please.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so please continue and
Enlighten us.
yes, please.
I mean, because you've been on both sides. So for those that are on, I have Coach Ron Prince on, and he has 30 years of experience in the NCAA and in NFL as a coach. He was the assistant head coach
At Detroit
for the Lions. And he was also an assistant coach for the Colts. He was with the Jaguars. In college, he was a head coach. And so he has lots of experience. And he's actually my go-to whenever I had questions through the process with Ty, and kind of helped us get through the process as well. So that's who we're talking to. But he's driving down the highway, so that's why y'all don't see him, but y'all can hear him. Okay, Coach.
So I had an experience with our quarterback at K-State, Josh Freeman, and he ended up being a first-round draft pick to Tampa Bay. And we also had Jordy Nelson, who also went on. He was, I think, the first pick of the second round there, who went on to have a great career. And I think I probably had, probably eight or so first-round picks at Virginia. And I was given the opportunity to coach the first round pick, I think 4 or 5 different times in the NFL.
Wow.
Also on a staff that had Peyton Manning as its quarterback, on a staff that had Matt Stafford as its quarterback, on a staff that had just drafted Blaine Gabbert in the first round. Also on a staff that drafted, unfortunately, we saw in the news this week, Justin Blackman, who made news this week. So I've seen this from the coaching, the college side, and the organization side. Let me say this about the process. None of these owners and no one in the National Football League is unfamiliar with the head coach at Colorado or the quarterback. That's what makes this extremely unusual. Rarely do you have, even in the Manning case, Archie wasn't their coach. He was a very good NFL quarterback. And in the case of Eli, yes, he had a brother who was the number 1 overall pick. But at no time was Archie the coach. So the Coach Sanders was the best player perhaps in history at his position. And if you read and listen to the stories about how his draft process went, there were teams that interviewed him and he was very dramatic and like, I'm not doing your interview. I'm not doing your, football related tests and stuff because you're not going to be there. And these are some of the same owners. Okay. Some of these owners and their families have been in charge of these teams for many, many years. And you have people in the front office who have been in some of their roles, even if they're not active as advisors, for many, many years. So it was a very unusual situation because there were very few unknowns about who the people were. And the reality is Coach Sanders did a phenomenal job at Colorado, and the quarterback did a really phenomenal job at Colorado with very little supporting cast help. Now, the help he did have was dramatic in Travis Hunter.
Right.
And what Coach Sanders did was he, from the very beginning at Jackson State, positioned both of these young men as they are going to be the number 1 and number 2 picks in their particular year when they come out. And you know what? Good on him. You should project that kind of confidence. You should project, hey, that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
But I think where this went sideways was 2 things. During the Super Bowl, Coach Sanders had multiple interviews with the whole attention, that whole Super Bowl week. He had the attention, and he had several or a couple interviews where he said, we will decide which teams he's not going to go to. He didn't say which teams he will go to, but he made it clear there's some teams he's not going to go to. And I'm not quite sure, and he did not say which teams those were.
Right.
And I think that alone is a red flag. Because Coach Sanders was the best player in the history of the game, maybe other than Jim Thorpe and Willie Brown, at his position. That's ever in the so his confidence and his rightful assertion as a corner.
You're cutting out. You must be in a dead spot.
Well,
Confidence in his assertion on how he was going to handle it is one thing, but that transposing that onto the quarterback, who was not clearly in the eyes of the evaluators the clear-cut number one choice, it didn't fit. But who can blame him for saying, hey, we believe that, right? Okay, so that's one situation. The second situation was the NFL sent out a memo about guys going to the combine or going to the All-Star games and not working out. Okay, you don't have to throw at the combine. That's fine. But if you go to the All-Star games, you're taking up a spot. If you're going to agree to go to an All-Star game, then you should play and do all the things because you're taking a spot, right?
Right.
And he did not go to certain All-Star. He went to the East-West All-Star game. And from what my understanding is, he did not participate.
right, he did not.
And then when there are things even after the combine, after the All-Star games and after the combine, each team gets 30 visits. Let's just call them, for college parlance, official visits. You only get 30. Some teams will bring all 30 guys in at one time, and they'll install plays in the classroom and go out on the field and walk through those plays, give them, they'll all go in and have a written test and the install just like you would have on a Wednesday morning. And they want to see how they do it in a group setting. Some teams will bring each player in one at a time, and everybody in the organization can see them and spend time with them. That's where it fell apart, from my understanding, for the quarterback,
because he wasn't prepared.
Well, hey, Coach.
Not only was he frustrated with some of the X's and O's questions, he wasn't able to answer them to whoever the club's satisfaction.
Right.
But the reports that we're hearing from people, and here's one of the things you have to remember: those that know aren't talking, and those that are talking don't know.
Don't know. Yes.
Okay, so always remember that Mel Kiper has never given anybody a contract.
Gotcha.
He doesn't work for a team. And a lot of, and you got to remember, a lot of this is for clicks and likes and ratings. The draft was going up against the first round of the NBA playoffs. And right now in our culture, what is the most hot button issue that you can foment for ratings?
Race.
It's race, religion, and politics.
Yep.
So if you just like the first round of the NBA playoffs only got 4.4 million views. The draft got 13.2 million views. So a lot of this outrage that you saw on the set and people crashing out and all this stuff was done for clicks and likes. And so the league, who has made the draft and the combine, which was like, has made it a made-for-TV, multi-million-dollar event, has capitalized on that drama the interviews with the families and the guys sitting in the, but you've had guys like Aaron Rodgers, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He sat in the room till like the 24th pick, and everybody thought he might have gone first this year. Dan Marino, the Pittsburgh Steelers had a chance to take Dan Marino, and he's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And they didn't take him, and he dropped to the Dolphins and ended up being one of the best quarterbacks in history. So there are precedent for this, but I just warn everybody, or caution, not warn, caution everybody. 15 of the 32 quarterbacks in the National Football League are black. So when Gen Xers and Boomers talk about this subject, we talk about it from the frame reference of like Warren Moon and Doug Williams, who literally had to climb the face of an impossible mountain to get where they got. Tank Younger, Shaq Harris. But we're in an era now where these owners would literally push their own mother or grandmother in front of a train to win. And so you've got 15 of the 32 quarterbacks are African American, and I believe in the first few picks, 5 of the 6 were African American. So the shame of all this is that Cam Ward, who did not have a scholarship offer, a 0-star person coming out of high school,
becomes the number 1 pick.
Became the number 1 overall pick. And he did it starting out at FBS, goes to Washington State, goes to Miami. And in head-to-head workouts that you can see online, he and the quarterback from Colorado are on the field working out together. And Chris Carter, Hall of Famer, in a podcast this week, said that's what did it for him. It was clear. He may not have been able to know who he wants to lead his organization, but it was very clear just watching a lot of those conversations to many people who wasn't going to be the obvious leader. Now, once he fell out of the first round, this is a very light in a quarterback draft because there weren't very many teams that needed a quarterback, wanted a quarterback, because next year, most of the people have projected is going to be a deeper and higher quality quarterback draft. And there are quarterbacks under contract through this year. So once he did not go to the New York or Pittsburgh, who seemingly has an agreement with Aaron Rodgers already, he was really going for a backup quarterback job.
Yes.
That's just the reality. So did he interview in a way that gave him the maximum flexibility that people in that room could say, I could see this guy as our first round pick and we can put him behind a veteran and he could grow for a couple of years and then be the starter, or he's not ready. He can be the number 3 and then develop and work. Okay. I don't know. I wasn't in the room, but the impression is no. Now here's the last part. Coach Sanders has been rumored or involved either publicly or behind the scenes with many of the jobs in the league over the last couple of years, whether it's he's been doing it or the people in the media projecting him in some of these jobs. So there's people in those meeting rooms, those head coaches, general managers who are saying, okay, if this team gets off to a slow start and this quarterback is the backup, is the coach going to use his platform with the media and others to try to force the quarterback into the starting role? Because Coach Sanders made it clear in those Super Bowl week interviews that he's going to listen to me. My son's going to listen to me when he in this whole process. And the interviewer kind of made a little joke about, well, or is he going to, is he really going to listen to you or the team or whatever? It was kind of an offhand joke and the audience kind of laughed and he goes, oh, I don't think you understand. My sons listen to me. And I just think if you just take the whole thing, it was, if he was going to be the clear-cut number 1 overall pick, it would have it might have landed. He just didn't have the leverage. That power play didn't fit the situation. And it doesn't mean that he won't be a good player in the league. It just means he doesn't have a big signing bonus. He doesn't need it. He already has money. He'll make more. He doesn't have a guaranteed contract or guaranteed money. It doesn't matter. He can get a contract. And it doesn't mean that he'll be on the Cleveland Browns, because if somebody gets hurt, somebody has a problem, and they were interested in him, Cleveland could trade him, or a team could trade for him. And those teams are going to be watching to see, okay, maybe there were some conversations between day 2 and day 3 where now it was like, okay, let's go ahead and take this guy. We like what's going on. So I just think that we all have to be careful that we're not being played against each other for something like, and I wrote in the comments, I was surprised today when I saw Jamil Hill come out and say, hey, look, everybody knows I'm the den mother. I'm the first one to speak out against racism in the NFL. These are her words. And this isn't racism. And that's Jamil Hill, who I've never heard say something like that before. And Chris Carter and others said the same thing. And I just think, there's so much that when it comes to clicks and likes and division and trying to divide all of us, there's money in it.
Well, my thing is, Coach, that's how I feel. But also, I think Terry was on a point that, again, if you take a black quarterback first, you can't use the word racism because they took a black quarterback. But if you try to make your point of another situation, you don't take Sanders because basically you gotta is Sanders gonna listen to his coach, his GM, his quarterback coach, or is he gonna listen to his dad? I mean,
Yes. And go. And Coach, you're exactly right. Let's rewind the tape a little bit. Do you remember when Caleb Williams had a little bit of this when his father was asking for equity in the team that drafted him?
Yes, I remember that.
Now that's against the collective bargaining. But so here's one of the things that we all have to understand. It's very rare that a quarterback makes it to that level without a very active father in his life. Very rare. It does happen, but it's rare. And are there fathers who are a little over the top? Absolutely. But in MLB pitchers have the same thing, right? Or NBA dads are the same. It doesn't matter. I don't care what their race is. But this situation is unique because you have somebody who was the greatest to ever play at his position and is a head coach in major college football and sucks the oxygen out of the room in the national media. He's the heir apparent marketing-wise to Nick Saban, Affleck, and everything else, and is a perpetual candidate for a lot of these jobs. And I'm not saying that has anything to do with the quarterback's ability. I'm just saying that when you put the whole picture together, and then how the 30 visits went, the combine interviews went, the All-Star game went, all of that factors into when you're in that room with the quarterbacks and the quarterback coach and the OC and the head coach and the owner, and they're talking about how are we putting this together. And I believe that Shedeur is being hurt a little bit by Anthony Richardson's lack of progress. So Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis was very raw, not nearly as accomplished, an incredible athlete. Indianapolis had a lot of veteran older guys. They take him probably a little too high. They end up having to play him. And he had some moments where and I wasn't on the field, but I'm in that town and I hear that, I have to miss practice because I have to go to recording studio. Okay. Or he had a moment on third down this year during a game in a critical drive where he tapped out because he said he was tired. I've never seen that. And
Never.
I've been watching football my whole life or playing it or coaching it. I've never seen that. So I think a little, and I think, you know, I think he got a little bit of people's speculation up by watching Anthony. I think people are like, okay, we got to be really certain that we're taking a young man and that the role that we're taking him to fill, that he can actually fulfill it. And the Colts got themselves in a jam and had to play Joe Flacco, and they really didn't want to. He was supposed to be the backup, and they almost got, you know, let go because of it. So I think it's just a whole lot of events, but I don't think it has anything personal. I don't think it has anything to do with being black. And I think that we're all hair triggered. We're all hair triggered right now with all of the messages, and it's to people's benefit and financial gain to do so.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. But do you think that Sanders, if he would have told everybody that I'm not going to the studio, I'm gonna stop trying to be a rapper right now, that would have helped him before the draft? Because he said it.
Well, this was Anthony Richardson who had the.
Sanders said the same thing this week. He said
with Cam Ward, yes. You know what? I just I'm with you. Here's what I think. I think that a lot of quarterbacks have marketing opportunities off the field. And now that the players are used to that in college as a way that they're making their living, they're funding them, you know, they're financing themselves. NFL franchises are going to have to say, okay, these kids are used to outside marketing agreements and outside ventures. And how is this young person going to manage his Tuesdays or Saturday afternoons doing commercials or doing whatever? Because as much as you see Peyton Manning on Nationwide and all these other commercials, he didn't do a lot of those when he was playing. And the reason is because if you're a quarterback in the National Football League, on that Tuesday when the players are off, the quarterbacks are either at the starting quarterback's house or maybe in the facility on the quote unquote day off. They don't have a day off. They are studying film from the last week, studying their throws, studying the opponent, independent of what the coaches are doing. And it is a completely different, it is a position unlike anybody else's. And I credit Jackson in Baltimore for being able to break the mold of a young man who has become a good passer when they tried to stereotype him as more of a running quarterback. And because he was able to do that, that's why Jalen Milroe got drafted where he got drafted, in my opinion.
Right.
Okay. Because Jalen Milroe's not a high-end passer, but he's got all of the other things, big, fast, incredible character, but he had outside marketing agreements. So I think that was a good example. Shedeur Sanders is not what you would call fast. He's not a dual threat quarterback. Okay. He is a young man that if he'd have played 10 years ago, when people were looking for somebody in the pocket in the West Coast offense, throwing slants, fades, in cuts, out routes, I believe his talent would have been clear that that's where he was going. But now you got guys like Josh Allen and others who their running ability is now, they're like the 12th man on the field. And you even see people who coaches like Andy Reid who would maybe be a little hesitant to put their quarterback in harm's way, or Belichick or others are much more willing to run their starting quarterback now. And that's a part of his on the field game, which isn't necessarily a slam dunk. So again, I'm not dogging the player. I think the player is going to play in the league. He could play a long time, But I just think the way the whole thing was put together, the value of all the whole package and everything that came with it just didn't add up to, in a very light quarterback year. And yes, he could have said from the very beginning, when the targeted teams, the Saints, let's just say, and Steelers and Giants, when he met with those three teams, he could have said, look, I know what the outside persona is. I'm 100% in. I'll be in here first guy in, last guy out. I will study, and let me show you in these things that we're about to do today, and I'm going to knock your socks off. Because when you go in for a job interview, you're not only presenting your best self, you're competing with the other people who are coming in on the job interview. And I think what a lot of people are losing sight of in this whole process is you're not only competing on the field for these opportunities, you are literally going in and sitting in front of the owner, the general manager, the coordinator, the head coach, the quarterback coach, all these people, and the team psychologist, psychiatrist, whoever it might be, and they are asking you, okay, what's your workout routine? What are you willing to do in your workout routine? What's your diet like? Are you willing to take advice on that? And there's no right or wrong answers. They're just kind of listening to how is this person thinking about their career? What do you plan on doing with your off season? Okay. And there's no right or wrong answers, but they're just listening. And I just think that the clubs that needed a or were willing to take a quarterback early had their mind made up very early that there was another quarterback that was going to be their guy. And when the conversation started around the Louisville quarterback about 10 days, 7 days, kind of in the NFL circles, the rumors that guy was rising up the charts. That's when I started going, oh, this is interesting. That's interesting. Why? Because this is a man with the health history of like a Michael Penix,
right?
Whose coach Penix benefited from having Kalen DeBoer. This guy at Louisville has benefited from having Jeff Braun, and Jeff Braun, he coaches them hard and he's tough on them. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, whose spot is he taking? And I watched Gruden's interview with Jackson Dart, and Gruden was brutal on him. You got to stop taking hits. You're not going to last. And I'm thinking, okay, somebody's going to hear that and say, you might not physically last if you're not Josh Allen. You better not, like Joe Burrow can't do the things Josh Allen does because Joe Burrow gets beat up, right, physically.
Right.
And this quarterback thing, like the Cleveland Browns are the prime example of an organization that has had so many failures at the quarterback decision, like who they're going to draft. And because of that, they are just perpetually in trouble.
Right.
And that's the team that took him. So it's like, and that's when he got picked by the Browns, I was like, oh man.
Oh man. Yeah.
I was hoping he'd go to Philly because Jalen Hurts, having been at Alabama, got demoted for Tua, goes to Oklahoma, puts his head down, grinds it out, goes to Philly, becomes a better passer, and no one's ever had an all-female team around him. His mom's involved, his wife, his agent, everybody in his camp is female. So that could have been a negative. It wasn't. And we know Philly will take people who have had some incidents and things of that nature. So I was kind of hoping that he'd go to Philly because then he could go into a championship club and see for himself, okay, I'm watching a hero play in front. Because I think Jalen Hurts is a hero type of player. Quiet, reserved, hero though. I mean, dude just quietly keeps winning, takes a lot of criticism, takes a pounding, but plays like a hero. And I was thinking, okay, if this young man gets to Philly and he is the backup for 2 or 3 years, he'll be the kind of guy people then try to trade for.
Yeah.
And then here he is as the starter and then goes from there. That's the way it used to be in the old days. So that's,
Well, I guess that's
I
what.
hope, yeah. So,
Well, I guess that's why I didn't think he would go to Philly because I never thought that he looked at himself as a backup quarterback. I never, the way he presents himself is I'm coming in, I want to be a starter, I want to compete for the starting job. Okay, you're not going to compete for the starting job at Philly. You're not even going to come close to it because Jalen proven, I can get you a Super Bowl. So that's why I didn't think Philly was him, me personally, because
well,
that,
maybe he expressed that, and maybe that's why none of it. Maybe I don't know that he did, but maybe he
right.
expressed, I'm unwilling to be a backup.
Well,
I
he
don't know
doesn't,
that.
right.
I'm
And
saying in
nobody,
the private meetings, nobody. I don't know. So,
yeah.
these meetings, they ask all those kind of questions. Hey, what if you're second on depth chart? What if you're third? What if you're the starter? They ask. It's just a scenario. It's a scenario based conversation. And
Well, coach,
yeah, go
wouldn't it
ahead.
be a backup? Depends on who's in front of you. There's a difference in being a backup and Cisco Bronson in front of you. Okay, and
Okay,
Jalen Hurts in front of
so
you.
let's play out a scenario.
If that makes sense.
Let's say he would have got drafted by the Saints, and
Okay,
let's say Derek Carr is healthy and is going to play.
I give
He
him,
not going to start. He not going to start over Derek Carr.
but I give Derek Carr 2 to 3 more years, 2 years max.
I understand that, but that makes him a backup.
Yeah, but if you go behind
So
Jalen Hurts, that's 5, 6 years because
no, no,
Jalen
no,
ain't going.
no. It wouldn't be 5 or 6 years because if you do it for 2 or 3 years, somebody's going to trade for you.
Right, true that,
You
true
see what
that.
I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like sometimes some people are playing like for today, and some people are playing chess for tomorrow,
right.
playing for the long money, right? That second, third contract. So we had a quarterback at Virginia named Matt Schaub, who was very accomplished, ACC Player of the Year. He got drafted to Atlanta behind Mike Vick. Now, who could Matt Schaub was 6'6", uh, not a dual threat guy, and he sat behind Mike Vick for 3 years. He gets they trade him to the Texans, and I think Matt might have got 2 or 3 contracts there. Okay, in the end, he made more money than Mike Vick did.
Right.
But so my point is like when you're thinking for the long term. But my point is going to be, so let's say he would have gotten picked by the Saints, and now
Hmm.
let's scenario B is that Derek Carr is physically unable to play this year,
Right.
and then the Saints go and sign Aaron Rodgers. Is he's going to have to be a backup to Aaron Rodgers, and that might have came out of left field.
Right.
Now maybe they don't get Rodgers signed, or Rodgers gets hurt like he did in New York, and then
Right.
Sanders gets the start.
Got you.
All of those scenarios the club is thinking about, but they're not going to tell the player. They're just trying to see where the player's head's at. And
Yeah.
because his agent is his coach, is his dad, it's you don't have a track record like you would if it was Lee Steinberg or
Right.
CAA Athletes First or whatever,
Right.
with how those things are going to go. And again, this is not to say that Coach Sanders didn't uh, make the right declarations about. Hey, he should think his kid was the best player because what he did at Colorado was heroic,
Yes.
but because he didn't have a lot of supporting cast around him.
And
The
they had the
quarterback,
most quarterback, the
the
most wide
quarterback at
receivers into
the
in the
quarterback,
draft.
yeah, the quarterback at Oregon had a great offensive line. Not good, great. I mean,
Right.
two or three offensive linemen got drafted. Colorado hadn't had anybody on the O line get drafted. They
No.
had 2 or 3 D linemen drafted. I mean, he had weapons and had all an established system and everything else. But Shedeur had Pat Shermer, who's an NFL head coach for the Giants, longtime offensive coordinator, calling the shots there and calling the plays. So, I don't think that this had. I think just how it was positioned and how the give and take went and then some of the skills as far as being dual threat. I think it was just all of it. And it's a light quarterback year. There weren't that many teams looking for a quarterback.
And I understood that part, that there wasn't a lot of people looking for a quarterback, but I just still think that him going in the 5th round, he was still better than some of the ones that went before him. That was just my thing. He's still better than them. I mean, excuse me, he had the most wide receivers get drafted were out of Colorado for the school. He had a terrible offensive line. He had no running game. He still was Johnny Unitas. Somebody still thought he was the best quarterback in the nation. And then he broke the all-time record for passing percentage for his career. And I just think that those stats they just stood out for me, that he was better than what he was given. That was my only thing.
When you have the video for every player in the country, and you have everybody in your organization watching that tape, every throw, every incompletion, every interception, every sack, and everybody who's a decision maker watching all of those for every quarterback who's going to be in consideration from 1st round pick to college free agent. So when you're talking about, if you're in the market for a quarterback, you're basically looking at all of them, every draft eligible quarterback. And if you're not in the market for a quarterback, even like when we had Stafford, you're still looking at a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be looking at the top guys, but you're still looking at a lot of them. And it's just a function of, okay, if this young man is going to be dissatisfied to come here because we have a starting quarterback, why would we do that to him or us?
Okay.
I'm not saying that was the situation, but these things, this factors in with all kind. And there's some kids who might believe that, but will go in there and say, "Hey, I don't care what I do. I don't care. I'll mop the floors."
Just to get a foot in the door.
Because the reality is, folks, we're talking about generational changing opportunity. And this young man's life has been changed because his father got that opportunity. And I think the NBA fathers do a better job of explaining that to their sons. And it's more money in the NBA, and it's more money in MLB. But
Right.
I think in this case, there was a better matching of the rhetoric and the player's talent in some other cases than this one. And the reality is, what LeBron did with Bronny is never going to happen in the NFL.
Right.
Because every roster position counts. Like, they're just not willing to sacrifice, wins and everything. It's hard to make the 53-man roster on an NFL team. Hard. It's hard to get a first down. And everybody's got to be, rowing in the same direction. And so I just think, I don't like things like he should have been more humble, or I hope this humbled him. That's where I think that's where I don't like that kind of language, because that's where I do think it gets racially charged. That's when people who aren't thinking about what they're saying don't realize what they're saying, and how many of us are hearing it when they say, "Oh, he wasn't humble," or "I bet this will humble him." Then, okay, now you might be showing a little bit about yourself the way you're talking now. I just think it was a function of they positioned themselves to be the starter, and there weren't enough teams looking for a starter. And once the teams looking for a starter decided it wasn't him, they're just at the 5th, 6th round, he was too good of a value to pass up.
Right.
Once you had all the other things taken. So again, I don't want anybody, any mom, dad, player out there thinking, if I've got personality and I got confidence, I've got to, hide my light to go play in the NFL. I mean, that's absurd. I mean, if you listen to Abdul Carter's dad, if you listen to Abdul Carter and Abdul Carter's dad, there is nobody who has more outsized swagger than that operation. I mean, this young man this young man had the nerve to ask Lawrence Taylor for his number.
Yes, I heard that.
Now you talking crazy. Lawrence Taylor said, "Nah, bro, you go make your own legacy." But that would have been a disaster. I mean, but it's not, the league doesn't care about that. They care about the fit, the work, the mindset, the health, all that. And I think because of the way all these things came out, this young man got drafted to be a quarterback in the National Football League. Let's not get it twisted. And there are very few professions that are as elite as that group. If you meet somebody in your life who has been drafted to play quarterback in the National Football League, then you've met somebody. Because the average person will never meet one.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on and giving us the insight from your perspective. Of course, we respect your opinion and your knowledge of the game and great perspective. And thank you for just, giving us that perspective so that we can kind of understand the ins and outs of just how this works.
Well, I have a question that has nothing to do with football.
Sure.
So are you going to be home on at the end of May, you and the wife?
Oh, well, the Indy 500 is going on, so absolutely.
All right, I will be there.
Okay, all right.
My baseball team plays in Nap during that period of time, and I'll give you a buzz.
Hit us up. You guys are always welcome. But hey, my two favorite coaches. I got a question for you guys. And how are the camps looking? How are we doing with the young ladies with the camps? Are we looking for big things this summer? We continue to have more?
Actually, I have a camp in Indianapolis on June the 30th, a girls flag camp in Indianapolis. It's the 30th or 28th. 28th. I think it's the 28th of June.
28th.
And then the women,
28th.
the 28th of June.
28th.
We have a girls camp in Indianapolis. We're excited about that. My women's team, we play in Indianapolis on May the 17th.
Now in the business, they call that a tee. In the business, they call that a tease, right?
Yes.
So when you already know the answer, you tee it up and you tease it. So I just gave the audience and everybody just a master class on how you tease that event. I just put the ball on a tee and let you smack it right there. So everybody in the Indianapolis area, come out and support, man.
Excuse me, Coach RP. Why ain't your hand on the steering wheel?
Because I'm pulled over now. I'm at my destination.
Hey, I saw this. Hold on, right there. Well, yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you very much, and give the boys love for us, and definitely the beautiful.
And my niece.
Yeah. And the niece,
absolutely. Yeah. You guys are the best, man. Give Ty my best. I'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you,
all right,
Coach.
thanks, Coach.
Well,
that was good.
Yeah, a lot of what you saying. I mean, in a way, I was saying that. I'm saying it's tough because I think you was on point, the wife. I think you were. But I just think,
and I get, because a lot of people was like, this isn't racial, and I get why they didn't feel it was racial, because they felt like he wasn't good enough.
I just felt like,
and that there weren't a lot of quarterback positions available.
I think when Coach Prince put in the best perspective is the same thing that when I said that I don't see him in getting traded sort of answer the question in the long run. But I never saw him saying, okay, I'm going to get on this team and I'm going to sit behind somebody for this period of time. I really believe that. And his answers probably in the meeting, which we don't know, was probably that. So,
and I think that's where the arrogance and the
right.
they portrayed.
And then you got to get ready that prime time is going to show up. And when prime time show up, here comes everyone. And I'm a prime time fan. I was a fan. I loved it when he went to the 49ers. I loved it.
And I loved it when he went to the Cowboys.
Then he left and went to them. And but with that said, I think in the long run that this young man, and the one we're not talking about that I think will prove people wrong as well, is the other one.
It's Shiloh.
It's Shallow. Because he had a very good job in the secondary. He did very well. They picked on him a lot. And, he did some stuff that made his dad bench him a lot. And I just think that sometimes they've got to move away from that blanket of security and just going back to what I said, let people coach you besides your dad. Because his dad has emphasized, my kids don't do this, I'm going to do this. And I can tell you right now, I don't want to hear you, Prime. If I coach your child, I don't want
to hear you from the stands.
And I can honestly say I'm a very strong person, but I can honestly say I don't think coaches hurt me when Ty was playing.
Mm-mm.
I usually, stayed in and let them, if I felt like they was getting injustice done to him, that's different. But prior to that, I'm gonna trust that coach in the beginning. And he's got to prove to me that I don't need to trust him anymore. And I think that's a big deal. But again, I'm not Prime. Hey, I got a question. Mr. Brown, why is the Dallas first? Why you got Dallas and 49ers? It should be 49ers and Dallas. Mr. Brown. Well, I'm getting ready to roll.
For what?
Because
Ain't nobody home.
I'm starving.
Why would I be here by myself? That's not.
Oh, I didn't know what you was doing.
There's nobody else home. So why would you leave me by myself to just talk to myself?
Talk to myself. But anyway, so how do you think record UK football? Let's say that then I need to go eat because I need since 10.
What do you mean the record?
Football record. Football season's coming up. Going back to the University of Kentucky.
Okay.
Last year at this time, we kept saying 4-9-3. Finish that way. They finished 4-4.
Well, I'm thinking. I'm gonna say how many games we play?
11 or 12.
I'm gonna say 500.
What if it's an uneven number?
Then I think it's gonna be.
Let's say
It'll be like 7-6.
All I want him to do is just play fast. That's my favorite.
Play fast. Get to a bowl game.
That's not just a bowl game. Let's get
to a good bowl game. And now, would I love them to make the playoffs? Absolutely. I just don't want to get my hopes up like I did last season.
My hopes up
to be let down.
I can't be let down. I enjoy watching the game.
And I enjoy watching them play. I love the changes that we've made. God, we're almost at 2. They have more merchandise sales than 49ers. They do. The Dallas Cowboys is the number 1 franchise and the richest franchise in the world.
I don't know. Those Yankees and Dodgers are up there.
We'll see.
Those Yankees and Dodgers are up there.
I have to look that up. But I think that Dallas is number 1, even over the Yankees and the Dodgers.
LA Blue. Well,
we'll look that up.
Okay, if we go sales and all that, okay, I'm gonna give you. Nobody's taking nothing away from the Dallas Cow people, but all I said is, Mr. Brown, just when you say something, can you just put the Niners first? Because as of right now, we are first over the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sorry, we've been that way a long time. We at least win playoff games. We do.
I agree. And y'all been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years, right? 3 years. Yeah, that's huge.
Something to cheer about.
We ain't seen a nap. We haven't seen a.
I'm gone.
Why would you leave me here by myself?
Babe, you about to sign off.
Okay, well, I guess we're signing off. We didn't even get to lace off.
Babe, that's what you're doing. You're gonna do lace off.
No,
2 3 minutes.
I'm not.
Talk about how you went. I was at practice, so you went and how was it? And I will lead up to it. Dear please, I got your little footnotes, and people let me see. Did Erica was she there?
Yes.
If I could, Erica Jackson.
So the Lexington African American
Shane
Sports
was
Hall of Fame, in which we are sponsored by, announced their class of 2025.
25.
They are inducting 3 supporters: Mr. Dimbry, God rest his soul, Angie Hampton, and Jill Chenault Wilson, which they're both involved with Layshaw, but they both have 30 years of experience as athletes, just as coaches and stuff. So we and running their own programs and helping kids in the sports community. And then the only coach that we did was Coach William Green, who coaches wrestling. When we inducted his daughter last year, Brianna Green. And we're only putting in one official, and that's Mr. Glenn Brown. And then the athletes that we're putting in is Everett Bass, Shane Boyd, Demetria Bright, Darnell Burton, Gwen Rucker Duncan, Tyrone Dunn, Alan Franklin, Ebony Rohale, Coach JT Haskins, Darren Ingram, Coach Erica Jackson, Julian Jackson, Coach Shonda James, Coach Derek Robinson, Keo Sanford, Coach Vincent Sanford Sr., Everett Talbert, and Coach Sterling Ward.
And what a list! I mean, Lexington's.
I think this is another absolutely fantastic class full of great athletes and legends.
Yeah. And that is.
And there's still some people on here that we kind of wanted on here that didn't make the cut. And and we're mad about it.
We're not going.
And we're not going to go there. Okay. We're not going to go there. Okay. But that just tells you the history, the legacy of athletes just here in Lexington is just unbelievable. So the gala is on September the 20th. Kentucky has a bye week that week, and we are coming back as a red carpet host again. Except this time we won't have to miss our son's game, and I'm so excited about that. And but we're excited about hosting the red carpet again.
Very much so.
It was fun.
All right, I'm out.
All right. So anyway, y'all, thank y'all for coming on.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate y'all for coming on and staying on this far.
Thank you for allowing me to come on your show.
You're welcome. And we are out. Next year, I hope to see Gerald Smith and Dallas Owens get in next year. I do too, Mr. Brown. Joe Montana was my favorite quarterback, says Mr. Brown. I agree.
And my favorite quarterback.
His quarterback is Roger Staubach from the Cowboys. How about that?
Joe,
he's a 49ers fan, but a 49ers Cowboy quarterback is not his favorite quarterback. A Dallas Cowboy quarterback is his favorite quarterback of all time.
Roger Staubach, Warren Moon, Joe Montana.
And I hope to see Gerald Smith and Dallas Owens get in next year. I agree.
Warren Moon.
All right, y'all. Mr. Brown, I love you. Anybody? Stacy, I know you had to go to sleep. You're probably on there. Coach Prince, thank you for coming on. Mr. Walker, thank you for coming on. And Mr. R, I see you. You're right. Lamar Jackson didn't have an agent. Who else did I see on there? Z, Sean Gerton. Thanks for coming on. And make sure I got everybody. I know my cousin was on there. Sam and our niece Goldie. So thank y'all, Mr. Brown. We'll see y'all later. And there might be a show tomorrow. I'm not sure. If not, you'll find out about it. We'll go live then. But I actually have a show booked tomorrow. But he did not. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yes, 2 great teams. He did not confirm and send me his bio and his headshot so I can set it up. But there still might be a show on tomorrow. I'm not sure. So it'll be another great show. Anyway, love y'all. Talk to y'all later.